Such a pretty Polish teacher, alone at this time?
Stop! Calm down, smooth talker. I admit that wasn't nice. That's why I need to relax.
The lady already politely said goodbye to you once today, right? What, are you going to beat me up? You, the history teacher, you'll be history soon.
The movie begins inside a hidden warehouse, where a man named Damian meets with a gang boss to negotiate his share of illegal goods for sale. The boss quickly senses Damian's unease and pulls him aside, telling him that he has reason to believe there is a traitor within their group. When Damian tries to act innocent, the boss bluntly admits that he already knows Damian is an undercover cop. Cornered and exposed, Damian has no choice but to fight for his life. Though severely injured, Damian forces himself to remain conscious and chases after the gang boss in one last attempt to bring him down. But then he realizes the gang has uncovered not only his true identity but also the fact that he has a wife. Terrified, Damian rushes home as fast as he can, but he is too late. His wife has already been killed. Years later, the story shifts to Shimon, a college lecturer. During one of his classes, Shimon notices that a student has been absent for the second consecutive day. Other students explain that the boy has become addicted to drugs. Amelia, a former addict herself, had tried to help him rehabilitate, but her efforts failed. Shortly afterward, Kamil, Shimon's son, receives a phone call from the missing boy's mother. With devastation in her voice, she informs him that her son has been found dead. The tragedy does not shock the school community. Deaths linked to addiction have become sadly common there, as the institution is plagued by drug trafficking. Determined to stop more students from falling into the same trap, Shimon turns to his old friend Damian for help. Damian, however, has been consumed by alcohol since his wife's death and has already been dismissed from the police force. When Shimon calls him, Damian ignores it, letting the phone go to voicemail. Later that evening, Damian tries to gather himself and finally visits Shimon. During their talk, Shimon explains the school's worsening drug problem while Kamil listens secretly from the hallway. Damian, however, refuses to get involved, saying he cannot even help himself. Later that night, Damian goes to a convenience store to buy more alcohol. There, 3 thugs try to rob him of his money. Damian calmly asks for it back, but when they ignore him, he takes them down swiftly, using store items as improvised weapons.
Zła decyzja.
Another annoyed customer, fed up with the commotion, shoves a bottle of alcohol into Damian's hands, urging him to leave quickly. Meanwhile, Shimon follows up on an address he obtained from a student, leading him to a warehouse. Unfortunately, he is caught in the act. The following morning, Damian wakes up to tragic news on television. Shimon has been found dead in that same warehouse. Authorities claim the evidence points to Shimon being responsible for the drug operation, suggesting he took his own life out of guilt over his student's death. Damian instantly realizes his friend has been framed. Determined to uncover the truth, Damian heads to Shimon's home. With the help of old police contacts, he manages to get past the swarm of reporters and consoles Shimon's grieving wife, assuring her that her suspicions are correct. Shimon was framed. When a detective insults Camille by mocking him as the son of a criminal, Camille attacks in anger. Damian steps in to defend him, explaining that the boy is only reacting out of grief. From that point on, Damian decides he must clear his friend's name. He meets with a shady associate to secure fake documents, then goes to the school pretending to be a candidate interviewing for Shimon's vacant teaching position. The secretary warns him not to apply, saying the school is too dangerous, but Principal Leszek interrupts the conversation. Since Damian is the only applicant, Leszek hires him immediately, assuring him that the school now has added protection, thanks to a newly hired security company. He introduces Damian to Deputy Principal Agata, who will guide him when he starts. The next day, Damian begins his job. On his way in, he sees a student named Jaro removing flowers from the memorial for the recently deceased boy. Damian tries to stop him, but Jaro calls his gang ally, Mammoth, to fight Damian. Mammoth, though intimidating, is a timid boy pressured into the gang. Before the situation escalates, Chmielski, the head of security, arrives with his men and orders the students to the principal's office. Chmielski also seems eager to confront Damian, but Agata intervenes, explaining he is the new teacher. Agata takes Damian around to meet the staff, including Stefan, the chemistry teacher, before he is introduced to his students. Camille, still grieving, has not returned to school yet. In class, Damian faces an unruly group. He quickly asserts control, confiscating a student's phone and ignoring their taunts. Yet one troublemaker, nicknamed Frogface, continues disrupting the class. When Damian tells him to leave, Frogface refuses. Agata has to call in Chmielski to escort him out. On his way, Frogface threatens Agata. That evening, Frogface and his gang ambush Agata in the parking lot, having stolen her car keys. At the same time, Damian discovers his tires slashed. Another teacher offers him a ride, but before they leave, Damian notices Agata being cornered. He rushes to her defense, taking on the gang single-handedly. Frogface flees in fear. Though injured in the hand, Damian continues unfazed. Inside, Agata tends to his wound and questions his past. Damian avoids personal answers, instead teaching her how to defend herself if ever confronted by a criminal. Meanwhile, Frogface is dragged before Jaro and Chmielski, who is revealed as the true leader of the school's drug network. Furious that Frogface's reckless actions might have exposed them, they order Mammoth to beat him, pressuring him to prove himself as part of the gang. The following morning, Damian arrives to find his car being taken for repair. In the teacher's lounge, staff are watching footage of his fight in the parking lot and praising him. Leszek even covers the cost of the repairs as thanks. Chmielski, however, remains suspicious of Damian's fighting abilities. Meanwhile, the leaked footage circulates among students, who idolize Damian and beg him to teach them self-defense. Amused, Damian takes them to the gym, promising to cancel their final exam if they can land a hit on him. None succeed, but the students enjoy the lesson. During the session, Camille briefly shows up, only to storm out after recognizing Damian. Damian follows him into the locker room, where Camille angrily accuses him of failing to help his father. To Camille's shock, Damian agrees, admitting that he feels responsible for Shimon's death. Damian tells Camille he cannot bring his father back, but he can save the students. He convinces Camille to keep his mission a secret. Later, Agata invites Damian out for drinks. They enjoy themselves at a bar until Damian defends two young women from harassing thugs.
Muszę zrzucić kilka kilo.
Using humor instead of brute force, he diffuses the fight, which amuses Agata. She later invites him to her home, but memories of his late wife overwhelm him, and he leaves abruptly, breaking her heart. On his way back, Damian spots Mammoth selling drugs and warns him that he is smarter than the gang he follows. At school, Amelia warns a classmate not to buy drugs, but Jaro retaliates by sending his gang after her. Camille tries to intervene but is badly beaten. Jaro uses the incident to scare others into silence. When Damian sees Camille's bruises, he urges the class to defend themselves, but they remind him they lack the skills. Determined, Damian invites them to his old dojo. Though dilapidated, the students, led by Camille, work together to restore it. In just a few days, it is cleaned, and Damian begins training them in martial arts. The students quickly improve, surprising Damian with their dedication. Meanwhile, Damian secretly follows the gang, tipping off police about stash locations. This leads to several product seizures. Unknown to him, Chmielski has been watching his every move. The gang soon decides Damian must be eliminated. One night, Damian is ambushed by masked men at the dojo. Despite suffering heavy blows, he defeats them all. At school, things worsen. Jaro threatens Amelia's father. Later, Amelia accuses Damian of misconduct, leading to his dismissal. Meanwhile, Amelia slips back into addiction. Damian pays her a visit after learning of the threat against her father. Feeling bad, he takes the stuff from her but is ejected by her father. Damian then persuades Frogface to speak, discovering that the stuff is manufactured in the school's laboratories. He hurries to Agatha with a clue, but she refuses to listen. Damian, determined to find out the truth, snatches her school keys before she can contact the police. Damian arrives inside the school and discovers that security personnel are still patrolling, forcing him to maneuver carefully, hiding in closets when required. Once the guards are out of sight, he sneaks into the chemistry lab and discovers proof of illegal item production. Damian is about to gather more evidence when he hears footsteps and hides just in time to see Stefan arrive, identifying himself as the head of production. Fortunately, Stefan swiftly departs to assist the security team, allowing Damian to take a few incriminating photos before following the van to the warehouse, where he is attacked by the security crew. Damian then leaves a comprehensive message for Agatha, detailing the issue. The next day, he shows the images to Agatha and Leszek, who disregard them due to their poor quality, preventing Damian from involving the police. When Stefan and Chmielski offer alibis, Damian is restrained before confronting them. Despite being dismissed, Agatha stays suspicious and tracks down Amalia, who confesses to everything. Later, Damian receives access to the school's security footage, which he discovers has been altered to remove incriminating information. Heartbroken and misunderstood, Damian turns to alcohol again until Agatha visits, apologizing for doubting him. Damian finally opens up about his past, and they reconcile. Together, they confront Stefan, who admits he produces drugs to protect his wife. Before he can reveal more, Chmielski appears and kills him. Later, Agatha searches Stefan's locker and finds a secret journal detailing the drug operation. With Amelia's testimony, Damian is cleared. But soon after, Amelia is attacked and falls into a coma. At the hospital, Agatha shows Damian Stefan's journal, which contains a map to a warehouse. That night, Damian and Agatha investigate, but Chmielski and the gang ambush them. Shockingly, Principal Leszek reveals himself as the mastermind behind the operation, exploiting students' struggles for his profit. A massive brawl erupts. Damian and his students fight bravely, defeating the gang members. In the final clash, Damian electrocutes Chmielski, ending his reign. Leszek tries to kill Agata, but Kamil intervenes, trapping him under heavy debris. Afterward, Damian retrieves Shimon's watch and gives it to Kamil as a memento of his father. Police arrive, arresting everyone involved in the drug syndicate, while the innocent students are sent for rehabilitation. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.